Most of my ponds are built with a liner. I only have one natural pond. I still like to make my liner ponds look natural, but there is a liner under all the rocks and plants. Recently I've had a lot of questions about adding a bog filter and an intake bay to a natural pond. I almost always respond that such filters on a natural pond are unnecessary and a waste of money. So today I want to discuss the different methods used to build different types of ponds, what sort of water quality and clarity you can expect, and the different methods of filtering them. G'day, my name is Kev. The aim of my channel is to help people build and maintain ponds without spending a fortune. If that sounds like something that interests you, feel free to subscribe and check out my website, Ozponds.com. So the first thing is position. A natural pond is going to be positioned in a catchment area. That's just a low spot that naturally captures water. Whereas in a liner pond, I don't want to have any, or I want to have very minimal amounts of surface water entering the pond. This is because surface water picks up nutrients, and nutrients can fuel algae growth and create water quality issues. In a liner pond, I'm only going to lose water to evaporation, so I can afford to be picky about the water that I want entering the system. Pure rainwater is always the best. In the unlined natural pond, water will constantly be seeping into the surrounding earth, therefore it needs a more constant topping up, and hence why it's usually positioned in a catchment zone, or an area that's constantly moist. Because as the earth surrounding the natural pond dries, it will start to lose more and more water. So on the liner ponds, I can easily achieve crystal clear water every time. I create a filtration system, usually the bog filter and intake bay. And that provides plenty of filtration for any fish in the pond and any leaves and other plant material that are breaking down. I'll link a video describing how the bacteria keep the water clean and clear in the description if you want to learn more about that aspect. An unlined pond has a lot more variables that are harder to precisely gauge, and therefore it's important to have different expectations. For a start, clay can be a funny thing when it reacts with water. Tiny particles can become suspended and they refuse to clump together. This is very common even in a new lined pond. There's a product called flocculant that can bind the clay particles together, but it can be quite cost prohibitive on a large unlined pond. And even then, the next big rain event will just stir up all the clay particles again. Then you have the inputs from the water runoff. This is impossible to calculate the amount of nutrient that is coming into the pond. If the catchment area is a paddock or field with livestock, you're going to have effluent making its way into the pond. And if it's heavily forested, a lot of organic material will end up inside the pond. Because the water entering the natural pond is the biggest X factor, I think this is where the time, effort and money should be spent. The aim should be to try and slow the water down during big rain events. If the water can move through soil or plants before reaching the pond, some of the nutrient can be removed. Just like in a lined pond, when I move the water through a bog filter, adding swales and plant zones can provide a similar benefit to a natural pond during rain events. It will capture solid materials and put the water into contact with good bacteria. In an unlined pond, we also have the benefit of the water moving through the earth of the pond. There's water seeping in and water seeping out. Again, there's bacteria in the surrounding earth, and as the water moves back and forth, it's coming into contact with the bacteria. I also think you should always try and add an aerator to a natural pond, just to keep the lower levels of the pond turning over. And lots of plants on the margins. And that's pretty much it for the filtration. If you do these things, you should end up with a pretty nice, healthy pond. It's just probably not going to be as pristine as a lined pond with properly sized filters. But I still don't think it's worth the expense of adding a bog filter, an intake bay, and the pumps required to run them, simply because the results are not guaranteed. I hope this video was a bit helpful. If you thought so, feel free to tickle the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. See ya.